Good afternoon. I got to start with a little personal note here. Give a shout out since I probably won't be able to connect, but it is Albert Einstein's birthday today. Did you know that? It's also happy birthday to Andy Anastos today. So my youngest daughter, I think she's 22. I think.
You think?
I think. Yeah. But I want to wish her well because her team is leaving. I don't know if it's today. I know they're getting hit hard in Boston, but they've earned their way to the Frozen Four, so they'll be playing in St. Louis. So I want to wish her and her teammates and her coaches good luck in this year's Frozen Four. I want to talk quickly about Minnesota. I thought we played a lot of good minutes in Minnesota. I was real impressed with their team. I especially liked how we played on Saturday night. Their team's certainly a motivated team. They're playing for a high seed in the NCAA tournament, and obviously we're playing for the regular season league championship and #1 seed in our tournament. We struggled to score goals on Friday night, and I guess the whole weekend when you consider we only scored one. But I thought we did a good job overall defending. And had you told me we'd go into that weekend and keep their top 8 goal scorers off the score sheet, I would have said, and their power play, I would have said that gives us a real good chance to win. So we've got to continue that approach to defending and manufacture as many scoring opportunities as we can and obviously capitalize. But again, we approach the weekend as a weekend for us to try to get our game to where it needs to be to start a new season, which is this week, and which all comes down to playing Thursday night. So we're familiar with the team we play. Ohio State's got a good team. They're playing with a lot of confidence. We've played them a lot of late. They had a very successful weekend out in Madison, and I think they're deep up front. Their goaltending has been consistent for them down the stretch. Their power play is the best in the country right now, so that poses challenges, and it was a big challenge for us when we played there a couple weeks ago. And so, our team's looking forward to getting a fresh start. Our team's looking forward to playing our last games at Joe Louis Arena, and we're excited to play.
Tom, when you look at the Ohio State series from 2 weeks ago, I think, they're that close. What did you guys like about that series that you played in 2 competitive games, one that you won and one that was very close at the end?
I thought in many areas of our game, we played with consistency. I thought, in the end, we still gave up more goals than we care to give up, and I think we gave up 5 power play goals on the weekend. So that's a challenge, and we're going to have to try to step up to that challenge one of 2 ways: either defend better or not get any penalties and get shorthanded. And probably the combination of the two have to take place. Obviously the puck went in the net on Friday night. When we played there, we did a good job of getting shots through, getting shots to the net, getting bodies in front of the goaltender. And, it's one of those nights where we got deflection-type goals. Some nights those pucks go in and other nights they don't. But when you give yourself a chance, then it makes the goalie at least work hard. And our power play was pretty good in that series, too. We felt pretty good about the chances and goals we were able to generate. So the other thing I thought of, I think of when I think of the last series, is I thought up and down our lineup, we did have a couple guys a little banged up and sick, but generally speaking, all 4 of our lines performed pretty well. The Wood line had a 3-goal night on Friday night in the win, and I thought the Kordorenko line on the Saturday night game with Pav and Vil probably had their best game as a line, which was good. So, all those things stand out as things to build on heading into this game.
And too, you guys are obviously a desperate team because it's 3 for 3, but so is Ohio State because they can't afford much to lose to miss their chance to get in the NCAA's too.
I think there's a lot of desperation. So it's more about which team plays with that sense of urgency. Like that's a real important thing this time of year anyway. But, certainly they're playing to keep their season going. And there's no easier way than to control your own destiny. So they're going to have great urgency. And for us, we know our season is one game at a time, so we should have tons of urgency as well. But I think even the other teams in the tournament, Minnesota's in for sure. Penn State's well positioned, but you never know, what other things might play out. Wisconsin's got plenty to play for to keep their season alive, as does Michigan. So I think it should make for a great tournament.
So you spoke of how it's somewhat of a new season for you guys. What are you specifically telling the guys to try to get them ready and more confident following a somewhat disappointing, regular season result-wise?
Well, it was a very, very disappointing regular season result-wise, and yet I know every guy in the dressing room has seen us play real well in all areas of our game, but one of our biggest challenges has been our inconsistency or our consistency to do so. And so we've already spent a fair bit of time talking about that over the past several weeks to say, we've got to build that to a crescendo come Thursday night where we're hitting in all these areas to our fullest potential. And that's the most you can ask. So organize ourselves in all areas of our games, be prepared mentally for close games. We've played a number of close games with this team. And that's how tournament play typically is. And you have to be ready for those moments when they arise, and you don't know when they're coming. So the best approach is to play a good, solid 60 minutes or whatever it takes to have success. So that's got to be the mindset. And as mentioned earlier, I think that sense of playing with a sense of urgency, because now there is no tomorrow. And I think that's critically important, too, so you're in the right mindset going into the games.
So you've wrapped up the regular season with the tie and the shutout win against Minnesota. Is that any kind of motivation or kind of brings in some confidence heading into this postseason? I know you spoke of that new season, but does that kind of give some remnants of what happened?
I'm not so sure that the result is the focal point as much as the quality of play in so many areas. I thought in that particular game, our goaltending was very solid and very predictable, which was great. Our penalty kill was able to manage their power play, which is one of the best in the country to date. As a team, defensively, we gave up 5 goals in 2 games, and that team's been the highest scoring team in the country over the past probably 2 months, and one of the highest scoring teams all season long. We created a number of scoring chances ourselves, just didn't convert enough. So I think going back to what our goal has been, given where we are, knowing that Thursday's a new season, that we've been preparing to try to get our game at the highest potential level that we can heading into that game. And I think that's where confidence can be earned, to know, hey, we can compete with anybody that we play against. We just have to take that next step to do it on a consistent basis for 60 minutes to give ourselves that best chance to win. So, we've been competing against real good teams all season, and especially down the stretch, the second half of the season, that I think prepares us to play anybody that will play.
How much does it help you in the tournament that you've played, the same 5 teams over and over again,
Well, you're certainly very familiar with those teams, and as they are with you. So from a preparation standpoint, it's not like there's going to be a whole lot of surprises. And in a bracket-type format like we're in, it's kind of easy to figure out, who the potential opponents are that you're going to play. Now, for us, all of our effort is just on Thursday. That's the only thing that matters, because there's no sense of preparing for Friday until you can accomplish your goal on Thursday. So all of our focus, all of our practice preparation is all about Thursday.
Obviously, you get guys from the state of Michigan every single year, and Joe Louis Arena is a big thing for them. I wonder what your reflection is here one final time.
I was waiting for that question. I'm sorry to cut you off. That's it.
You know the rest of this, huh?
Yeah, well, I was kind of waiting, so I actually took a little bit of time to give it thought, because that building has been a part of my hockey world as a parent, as a kid, as a parent, as a coach, as a player, as an administrator, since I was 16 years old. And I started to try to reflect on some of the more, because I keep getting asked, some of the more memorable experiences. And my very first experience that I can remember there was when I was 16. I went with my dad to the NHL All-Star Game, which was in the first year of Joe Louis Arena. I think I jotted it down at 1979. Does that sound right? And they had 21,002 people at the game. And the most memorable thing I remember from the game was when Gordie Howe was introduced. He was playing for the Hartford Whalers, I believe, at the time. And, I saw Gordie Howe. I don't know how old he was at that time, but I didn't see him in the prime of his career. I don't remember him as a player in the prime of his career. But I remember how much Detroit embraced him and what his name meant in the hockey market in Detroit growing up. And when he was introduced, they came out from like the players' benches area, and they came across, and he was the last guy introduced. I remember it was like it was yesterday. The building was shaking. He got such an ovation. So that was my introduction to Joe Louis Arena. Since that time, I have memories from playing my first college game there. It was actually a loss in the GLI against Michigan Tech, and it was the only time I ever lost as a player playing in that building, and we played a lot of big games there. I remember that first experience, and the next day we tied in the consolation game, and then we won every game after that during my playing career. So those were very memorable. The most memorable game I played in there was in 1984. We played Michigan Tech in the championship game, and it set at that time the record for the largest crowd ever to watch a hockey game in North America. And it might still be a Joe Louis Arena record today. It was like, I think I jotted it, 21,576. It's according to.
There were a lot more than that.
It was unbelievable. I remember you couldn't see the aisleways in the upper bowl because people were sitting in the aisleways. So it was just this. And back then, to give it some context, the Red Wings were really struggling. They were really struggling, and they were drawing less than 11,000 people a game. And so Michigan State hockey was really on the rise and really generated a ton of interest. So there was a lot of green and white people down there, and it was a real exciting time. But that game, I'll never forget playing in that game. We won 7-0 in the GLI championship against Michigan Tech. And that was a pretty memorable experience. And then, whether it was coaching in games or I used to get the opportunity to coach my kids in youth games there that they played in Little Caesars League championship games. Those were cool experiences for them to see them and, get banners and trophies and things like that. And then just going to Red Wing games and watching so many great Red Wings, celebrating my kids' birthdays or, one-on-one time I got to spend with them. My wife and I went to a Game 7 against Colorado, which had a great atmosphere to it. And, it was a date night for us, which we didn't get very many of when we were raising 5 kids. So there are just so many experiences that I've had that will be very memorable. It's definitely time to move on, but I will tell you, when I walk out of there, I hope it's not the last time this weekend. I hope to be able to at least see a Red Wing game or another event there before it closes down. But I remember having a similar experience with Tiger Stadium, being able to remember a lot of the experiences as a kid growing up, and especially with my dad, going to games there. Anything else?
Yeah. Tom, what did Ed Mitty do on Saturday? The way his game developed and the way he played that he wasn't doing in some of the games previous?
I thought he was tracking the puck real well. I thought he was fighting through screens. I thought he was square to the puck. I thought he managed rebounds real well. I thought he showed, a lot of poise in his game. And, those are probably very specific things. I think in the end, when you wrap it all together, he stopped the shots he should have stopped, and he made some big saves in moments where we needed big saves. And that's what you need out of a goalie. He gave us a chance to win the game, and that's what you need out of your goaltending every night.
I mean, he played like he had confidence, and he knew, and you wonder where he would get the confidence because the previous 2 games he had struggled.
Yeah, I think he's a confident kid. I really do. I think.
So in practice, he worked hard.
Yeah, he's been working hard, and he understands he's competing for time, and I actually think that's a benefit to him. I think that's healthy for both of those guys to kind of get their game to a certain level and work at staying there. And I think that's part of your challenge as a player is, gaining experience. So as you're trying to gain experience, you're working towards getting opportunity and building some confidence as you gain experience. And then really, when you've earned opportunity, now it's all about finding a level of performance that you can sustain. And obviously, we're used to terrific goaltending here at Michigan State, not just the past few years with Hildy, but at Michigan State historically. And so, I know these guys want to be right there, and they want to maintain that, and they're working hard every day to do it. And each, probably has different nuances to help them get there. But I think, them competing and yet supporting each other is an important part of that goalie tandem to have success. And each one of them has to just kind of find that right level to be able to maintain. So, I've talked to Ed earlier in the season about his level of performance when we were on the road at North Dakota. When we played home here against Minnesota, he played real well. And I think he was confident going out there. So I don't think his confidence has been rattled. But I do think that like anybody, finding a consistency in your performance is that next challenge to take that next step.
So in honor of Hondo and all the other people that used to love to talk about goaltending startings, when will you make the decision on your starter for Thursday?
I'll probably make that decision tomorrow. Yeah, I would say, we'll go through practice. I just think that's our normal protocol, and you just never know some of the dynamics. 2 weeks ago, we had a player got food poisoning. So you can make a decision today.
You did?
Yeah. And so you just never know what may pop up. I remember a couple years ago, a player fell on the ice, couldn't play. And it was a goalie, couldn't play. So I could have had him all teed up on Monday, and by Wednesday, he couldn't play. So there is no need to make that decision early.
Do you decide by talking to your other coaches and Jason?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I always get lots of input. In the end, I'll make the decision that I think is the right one. But by all means, I'll get input. We'll take, recent play. I guess full body of work, opponent, experience. All those things will go into consideration. But and we've been talking about that, so it's not like. But I don't think that needs to be known until tomorrow.
How's Damien Check? Is he available for the weekend?
He skated yesterday. I haven't gotten an update today as to how he's feeling after having a full skate. He skated without contact, so I don't know his status yet today. But I think he's made progress. He was actually going to go on the ice Saturday morning in Minnesota, and I told him to stay off. He was all dressed. He was going out, and I told him, "What's the point?" Because
Friday or Thursday when we got there.
Yeah, he did, but he was still experiencing. He wasn't feeling right, and so I said, "Well, let's give it some consecutive days off," and Dave and Doc, are measuring it very closely. But, yesterday I think he was okay, but we'll have to see how he felt afterwards.
And you used Casilla in both games, right?
We did. Yeah.
How did he do against
Thought he
the-
played pretty well, given that he hadn't played much, you
Yeah.
know, and to throw him in that environment against a team playing real well, a team playing on that big sheet of ice. I thought his first few shifts Friday night weren't ideal, but I thought he settled in. So we kind of expected that. I was hoping we could get through that without anything catastrophic, so it wouldn't compromise his confidence. But I thought his confidence grew as the weekend went, and he's worked hard. He's worked hard this season, and he's a good puck mover. He sees the ice well. He talks a lot. He communicates effectively. Obviously, he doesn't have tons of experience. He can shoot it. He can contribute in the offensive end. You know, he makes some good decisions at the offensive blue line. So there's some things he brings to the table that we're excited about, and he's earned an opportunity to get some playing time. So he'll be in the mix to play Thursday. All good? All right. Pardon me? Oh, yeah. I learned Dave Carrier's game Thursday will be his 1,500th game of his career. 1,500th game.
Really?
That's pretty amazing. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of games. So that's
Here when you got-
quite a milestone. He was here, his first year was my senior year. Yeah,
45.
yeah. 84, 85 was his first year. Came from Ferris State. But that's a heck of a milestone.
And the big matchup between Wisconsin